The sun was blazing over the small-town storage auction lot, heat waves shimmering off the row of faded red doors. Among the crowd of regular bidders stood two women who didn't exactly fit the profile of your typical storage hunters. Emily and Vanessa were sisters in their late 20s, both fit, confident, and dressed in casual summer clothes that seemed more suited for a weekend trip to the beach than a dusty storage auction. But they were here with a purpose. Emily, the younger sister, had always been the impulsive one, quick to take risks, quick to chase an adrenaline rush. Vanessa, the older sister by 3 years, was more calculated. She preferred to plan, to research, and to think 3 steps ahead. But today, both of them had a gut feeling. They'd been following local auction listings for months, looking for something that might stand out from the endless piles of old furniture and busted appliances. Then they spotted it, Unit Pound 47 at Pine Creek Storage. The listing was vague, contents unknown. Unit appears sealed for over a decade. The only photo showed the top of a dusty tarp in the dark. That was it. Most bidders ignored it. There was nothing flashy in the preview. But Emily and Vanessa had done their homework. Pine Creek Storage had been around since the late 80s, and Unit Pound 47 had belonged to a man named Richard Calloway, a name Vanessa recognized. Calloway had been a local legend in the early 2000s, known for restoring exotic cars and flipping them for insane profits. Then, one day, he disappeared from the public eye. No one knew why. The sisters exchanged a look as the auctioneer called for bids. "All right, folks. Opening at $200, the man shouted. A couple of hands went up. Emily's heart was already racing. 500, someone yelled from the back. 800, another bidder countered. Vanessa squeezed Emily's arm. "Don't get ahead of yourself," she warned. But when the price hit $1,500 and most of the crowd began dropping out, Emily whispered, "This is it. I feel it." The auctioneer scanned the thinning crowd. "Going once, going twice." 2,000. Emily called out. A collective murmur swept through the group. That was way more than anyone expected for a blind unit. "Sold." To the young lady in the tank top, the auctioneer announced, slamming his gavel. The crowd began to disperse, some shaking their heads, others giving curious glances. Emily grinned, but Vanessa still looked tense. "This is either the best decision we've ever made, or the dumbest," she muttered. With the key now in hand, the sisters walked toward Unit Pound 47. The metal door groaned as Emily rolled it up. A wave of stale, dusty air rushed out, and the sunlight cut through the darkness like a spotlight. The first thing they saw was that tarp from the listing, huge, heavy, and draped over something with unmistakably curved lines. Vanessa's eyes widened. "That is not furniture." Emily stepped forward, her sneakers crunching over scattered dust and grit. She grabbed a corner of the tarp and pulled. The fabric slid off, sending a cloud of dust into the air. There it was, a sleek, low-slung shape in faded red paint. The sharp angles, the distinctive headlights. It wasn't just a car. It was a late 80s Ferrari 328 GTS, a model that had been on Emily's dream list since she was a teenager. The two women froze for a moment, taking it in. The Ferrari was covered in a thick layer of dust, but underneath, it looked perfect. The black leather interior was intact. The wheels still gleamed faintly under the grime, and the odometer inside read just 12,432 miles. Vanessa let out a slow whistle. "Emily, do you have any idea how much this is worth?" Emily grinned, almost trembling. "6 figures easy. Maybe more if it's in running condition." They circled the car like predators around prey. Beside it, a stack of wooden crates sat against the wall. Emily pried one open and found stacks of old car magazines, workshop manuals, and a small metal tin with a set of keys, one with a prancing horse logo. Vanessa held the keys up, the sunlight catching the Ferrari emblem. "This is insane. Why would anyone just leave this here?" Emily shrugged. "Maybe Calloway hid it. Maybe he couldn't sell it, and just locked it away." The sisters spent the next hour carefully inspecting every inch of the unit. They found a set of pristine alloy wheels still wrapped in plastic, a custom tool kit, and even a dusty leather jacket with R. Calloway embroidered on the chest. Finally, Emily slid into the driver's seat. The leather creaked under her weight, the air thick with that old, unmistakable car smell. She turned the key, and to their shock, the engine coughed, sputtered, and roared to life after just a few tries. The deep, throaty growl echoed in the small unit, sending a thrill through both sisters. "This thing hasn't been started in years," Vanessa shouted over the noise, "and it still runs." Emily revved it once, savoring the sound, before shutting it off. They both knew they couldn't drive it out just yet. It needed a proper inspection and likely some restoration, but the value, even in its current state, this was a $200,000 plus find. They rolled the door back down, and locked it. Standing in the sunlight, Vanessa shook her head in disbelief. $2,000 for a freaking Ferrari. Emily laughed. Told you it was a good feeling. But as they were walking away, Vanessa glanced back at the locked unit. You realize this changes everything, right? Emily nodded. Yeah. We're not just playing around anymore. We're in the big leagues now. The sisters didn't sleep much that night. Emily kept replaying the moment in her head. The tarp sliding away, the red curves of the Ferrari emerging like a buried treasure. Vanessa, however, was fixated on something else. Why had this car been left behind? The next morning, they returned to Pine Creek storage armed with gloves, flashlights, and a small toolbox. They had signed the paperwork and the unit was officially theirs, but neither could shake the feeling that they were stepping into someone else's unfinished story. As they rolled up the door again, the bright morning sun lit the Ferrari's body, revealing more details. There were faint scratches along the passenger side, like something had scraped against it. The front bumper had a dent that didn't quite match the pristine rest of the car. Someone drove this into something, Vanessa said, crouching to inspect the damage. Or maybe someone hit it. Emily frowned. Or maybe it was running from something. The wooden crates sat in the corner like soldiers guarding a secret. They hadn't opened most of them yesterday, too distracted by the car. Vanessa pried the lid off the nearest one, expecting more car parts. Instead, she found folders, dozens of them, filled with legal papers, photographs, and receipts. Emily picked one up and froze. Hey, Vanessa, this is dated 1993, and it's an import document for this Ferrari from Italy. They leafed through the papers, finding maintenance records, sale agreements, and even handwritten notes about modifications made to the car. But then Vanessa's hand paused over a small, sealed envelope tucked at the bottom. She opened it. Inside was a single Polaroid photograph. It showed the Ferrari parked outside what looked like a lavish villa, but in the corner of the image, half hidden, was a man in a suit holding a briefcase. The man's face was partly turned away, but there was something about the image that made Vanessa's stomach knot. Emily noticed her expression. What is it? Vanessa hesitated. That guy. I think I've seen him before. There was a news story years ago. Something about stolen cars being shipped overseas. They opened another crate. More documents, but this time, stamped with a red, confidential, seal. Inside were customs clearance forms for multiple vehicles, including rare Lamborghinis and Porsches. And all of them had one name in common. Richard Calloway. Emily sat back, stunned. So Calloway wasn't just a restorer. He was moving cars, maybe illegally. The more they dug, the stranger it got. In the glove box of the Ferrari, they found a small black notebook. Inside were handwritten entries, coded with initials and numbers. But some pages were torn out, leaving jagged edges. Vanessa flipped to the back and found a single key taped to the inside cover. It was small, brass, and oddly heavy for its size. No label. Emily turned it over in her hand. This doesn't fit the car. Maybe it's for something in the unit. They searched every inch, crates, toolboxes, even under the carpet in the trunk. Finally, Vanessa noticed a panel in the back wall of the unit. It didn't quite match the rest. She tapped it, and it gave a hollow sound. With a bit of force, the panel came loose, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was a small steel lockbox. The brass key slid in perfectly. The lock clicked, and Vanessa slowly lifted the lid. Inside was a stack of old photographs. Most showed exotic cars, but mixed in were candid shots of people, in suits, exchanging envelopes, shaking hands in dimly lit garages. And in several of them, there was that same man from the Polaroid, always near the cars, never smiling. At the bottom of the box was a single VHS tape, unlabeled except for the word, lemons, scrawled in marker. Emily turned it over. Why would Calloway hide this? And why does it feel dangerous? They packed the lockbox into Emily's backpack and closed the unit, deciding to look at the tape later. But as they walked to their car, Vanessa caught sight of a black SUV idling across the street. She nudged Emily. The SUV didn't have plates. The windows were tinted too dark to see inside. They drove off, but Vanessa kept checking the rearview mirror. The SUV stayed several car lengths behind for the next 2 miles before peeling off into a side street.